The story opens by introducing 5 close friends, Guerrero, Combo, Tenko, Toro, and Polo, as they travel together in a vehicle. Though their conversation is lighthearted, centered around what to have for lunch, it quickly becomes clear that they aren't ordinary travelers. These men are members of Mexico's most elite special forces unit, operating under a veil of casual camaraderie. Their road trip takes a sudden, violent turn when another vehicle deliberately collides with theirs. Within moments, an armed assault follows, ambushing them without warning. The narrative then rewinds to events 72 hours earlier. In a modest neighborhood cafe, Guerrero and his friend Tucho sit observing a troubling scene outside a nearby police station. A group of gangsters, bold and unchallenged, carry out criminal acts in broad daylight, their control over the area evident even in the presence of law enforcement. At that moment, the criminals attempt to forcefully take a young woman named Carla, who had arrived to file a complaint against them. Her mother, Lucia, tries desperately to intervene, but the 2 women are no match for the gang's aggression. Unable to stand by and watch, Guerrero, a veteran officer with years of field experience, steps in. He boldly confronts the gangsters, sparking a fierce hand-to-hand fight. Moments later, police officers pour out of the station, but instead of assisting Guerrero, they mistakenly raise their weapons against him, unaware of his identity. To avoid escalating the confusion, Guerrero quickly displays his badge, revealing his rank as a captain in Mexico's elite forces. Recognizing his authority, one of the officers intervenes and orders his men to detain the gang members. If you're enjoying the story so far, consider subscribing and dropping a like. It really helps and means a lot. Anyway, let's get back to the story. As the situation settles, Lucia and Carla approach Guerrero. They explain that their visit to the station was not only to report the gang's actions, but also to reveal the location of a mass grave they had discovered nearby. The gravity of this revelation prompts an immediate response from military authorities. Special forces, forensic teams, and military personnel are deployed to the site. Trusting the unreliable local police is no longer an option in a case of such seriousness. Upon reaching the location, the investigation team makes a grim discovery. Multiple soldiers hastily buried in a secluded area. Though the remains are recovered, the identity of those behind this brutal act remains a mystery, setting the stage for a deeper, dangerous investigation to come. In honor of the fallen soldiers, the military holds a solemn memorial service, giving families a chance to pay their final respects. At the same time, the discovery of a mass grave dominates the national headlines, with every major news outlet in Mexico covering the tragic event. Reports soon reveal that the soldiers lost their lives while on a mission to apprehend a notorious figure, Joseph Urias. Elsewhere, Joseph Urias, also known as Joe's foe, holds a private meeting with his closest allies. Aware of the growing danger, he warns them about Guerrero, an elite soldier with a reputation not to be underestimated. While laying out his concerns, Joe's foe has already set a sinister plan in motion, ordering the capture of Lucia and Carla. Back at the military base, Guerrero gathers his trusted team to plan their next move. His comrades, Combo, Tenko, Toro, and Polo, stand ready to assist in the mission. Intelligence points to a key enforcer named Lo as the prime suspect behind the recent tragedy. The team agrees on a strategy: capture Lo first and use him to lure Joe's foe and his men out of hiding. The following day, the plan is set into motion. It doesn't take long for Guerrero's team to locate Lo while he's having a meal at a restaurant. Without incident, they apprehend him. Meanwhile, in an unexpected development, Joe's foe meets with Mexico's Minister of Defense. The corrupt official accepts a bribe in exchange for protecting Joe's foe from military action. During their meeting, the minister reveals that Guerrero's phone has been tapped and that Lo's capture has already taken place. The minister promises to place the blame for the massacre squarely on Lo's shoulders. As a temporary reward for completing the mission, Guerrero and his team are granted a 3-day leave. They take the opportunity to return home and spend time with their loved ones. Before parting ways, the team poses for a group photo to mark the end of their operation. However, their brief respite is soon cut short by a violent ambush, the same one seen at the film's opening. It's revealed that Joe's foe's men are behind the sudden attack, determined to wipe out Guerrero and his team. But as battle-hardened soldiers, Guerrero and his squad quickly turn the tables, overwhelming their attackers. Suddenly, Romano arrives with additional reinforcements, escalating the fight. Yet Guerrero's team holds their ground, relying on their superior skills to defeat the attackers. Severely injured, Romano delivers a final warning to Guerrero, claiming that Joe's foe will never stop hunting them. With Romano defeated, Guerrero decides it's best to move out before Joe's foe arrives with more reinforcements. While on the move, Guerrero contacts military headquarters, reporting the ambush and requesting backup. He also alerts them that Joe's foe and his forces are actively pursuing them. Not long after Guerrero's team departs, Joe's foe and his men arrive at the scene where they find Romano's lifeless body. Enraged by the loss of a man he considered a brother, Joe's foe swears revenge and orders his men to track Guerrero, whose location has already been compromised through the minister's phone surveillance. Meanwhile, Guerrero and his team make their way through dense forest terrain, aiming for a nearby security outpost. Unfortunately, Joe's foe's men have already discovered their route, triggering another intense firefight. Although the team manages to overcome the attackers, they suffer heavy losses. Polo is struck in the shoulder, and Tenko sustains serious injuries to his ear and leg. Acting fast, Combo provides first aid to stabilize both. Elsewhere, a surviving member of Joe's foe's unit manages to escape and quickly informs his boss about the encounter. Joe's foe remained relentless. Confident in his advantage, he believed that no matter how hard Guerrero and his team tried to run or hide, they would never escape his reach. Thanks to the betrayal of the Minister of Defense, Joseph Foe was always a step ahead, informed of their every move. Without wasting a moment, Joseph Foe and his men made their way to the location where Guerrero was expected to be. But when they arrived, they were met with an unsettling sight. Guerrero and his team were nowhere to be found. Instead, sitting atop the motionless bodies of 5 of Joseph Foe's own men was Guerrero's phone. Realizing he had been outmaneuvered, Joseph Foe clenched his fists in frustration. Guerrero and his team had anticipated the surveillance and turned the situation against them. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the wilderness, Polo and Tanko, both nursing serious injuries, took a moment to rest. Combo checked their worsening wounds, knowing time was running out. Guerrero, having taken Romano's phone, was visibly shaken when he came across a video confirming their worst suspicion. The Minister of Defense had secretly allied himself with Joseph Foe from the beginning. With their circumstances growing more dangerous by the hour, Guerrero and his team pushed forward, determined to reach the nearest security post and call for reinforcements. Along the way, they stumbled upon a secluded house that seemed to be used as a criminal hideout. Spotting an opportunity to regroup and tend to their wounded, Combo suggested they take control of the place. Acting quickly, the team secured the house, overpowering the criminals inside. But what they hadn't expected was what came next. 2 captives were found in one of the rooms. To their shock, the prisoners turned out to be Lucia and Carla, a mother and daughter who had earlier been abducted by Joseph Foe's men. Seeing their condition, Guerrero and his team immediately assured them they were now safe. While searching the house, the team also uncovered a cache of weapons, ammunition, and explosives, a small but crucial advantage in their fight for survival. Now, with 2 civilians in their care, every move they made had to be even more calculated. Despite the added risk and the relentless danger that surrounded them, surrender was never an option. They were soldiers, and soldiers fight on. That evening, Guerrero sat with Lucia and Carla, explaining the grim truth of their situation. Joseph Foe and his forces were hunting them, and staying put wasn't an option. He suggested they leave at once for the security post where help might be found. Before heading out, the team gave Lucia and Carla bulletproof vests and organized a protective formation, placing the mother and daughter safely in the center of their group. Once prepared, they stepped out into the night. But before they could get far, Joseph Foe's men launched a sudden and brutal ambush. Outnumbered and caught off guard, Guerrero's team quickly retreated back into the house, using whatever cover they could find while returning fire with what little ammunition remained. Guerrero made the decision to begin teaching his team how to properly handle firearms. Around the same time, Combo asked Tenko to cover his watch shift while he stepped outside to tend to Polo's injuries. Meanwhile, Joe's Foe and his men unleashed a relentless assault on the house, forcing Guerrero and his team into cover. When the attackers briefly paused to reload, Guerrero and his group seized the moment and launched a counteroffensive. During the exchange, one of Guerrero's shots struck one of Joe's Foe's men, leaving him wounded. As the gunfire settled, Guerrero quickly checked in with his team. Most answered back, but sadly, Tanco was found in critical condition, having taken a serious wound from Joe's foe. Though unable to move, he urgently called out for more ammunition, knowing they still needed to hold their ground. Without hesitation, Carla volunteered to deliver the supplies to him. At that very moment, several of Joe's foe's men secretly entered the house through a hidden underground passage unknown to Guerrero and his team. Within moments, these intruders ambushed Tanco and Carla, catching them completely off guard. In a desperate act to protect his comrade, Tanco ordered Carla to escape. Determined to shield the others, Tanco made a final courageous decision, sacrificing himself by triggering an explosive device to stop the approaching enemy. In the aftermath, Guerrero's team suffered deeply. Not only did they lose brave Tanco, but Polo also succumbed to his injuries after losing too much blood. The weight of these losses hung heavily over Guerrero and the remaining fighters. Lucia and Carla mourned alongside them, grieving for the friends and protectors they had lost. Together, they honored their fallen with a solemn prayer, hoping for peace for their spirits. With his forces depleted and no escape left, Joe's foe was finally forced to lower his weapon in surrender. But instead of asking for mercy, he challenged Guerrero to a one-on-one, hand-to-hand fight. Bound by a sense of duty and honor, Guerrero accepted, unwilling to harm an unarmed opponent. At first, Guerrero struggled against Joe's foe, who proved to be a highly skilled fighter, but as the memory of his fallen comrades filled his thoughts, Guerrero's determination reignited. Drawing strength from their sacrifice, he launched a relentless attack, eventually overpowering Joe's foe. After the battle, Guerrero addressed his remaining team, declaring that the long, difficult fight was finally over. His unwavering loyalty and resilience were evident in every scar and sacrifice they had endured. By morning, after a night marked by hardship and heartbreak, reinforcements at last arrived to secure the area. The severely wounded Joe's foe was taken into custody with plans for him to face trial. Guerrero had intentionally chosen to spare his life, ensuring he could testify in court and expose the network of corruption involving high-ranking officials, including a treacherous minister of defense. Later, Guerrero, Combo, Toro, Lucia, and Carla were airlifted home by helicopter. Though they returned with heavy hearts, the memories of their fallen friends Polo and Tanco remained etched in their hearts, and with that, their story came to a close. A journey of sacrifice, loyalty, and resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity.